Have you ever wondered why some women seem to hold an irresistible power, even without saying a word? There is a secret that goes beyond beauty, beyond being nice, beyond trying too hard. It is the secret of being bad, but not in a careless or cruel way. It is about being bad with elegance, about knowing when to withdraw, when to challenge, when to keep mystery alive, and when to make a man feel the absence of your presence more than the comfort of your company. Carl Jung once said that what we repress often returns with greater force. And when a woman learns to embrace the parts of herself that society told her to hide, her boldness, her mystery, her selective attention, she awakens a magnetic field that men cannot resist. This is not manipulation. It is alignment with your unconscious power. Today, you will discover how to embody this secret and why it can make him addicted to you in ways you never imagined. The hidden charm of not always being the nice girl. Many women have been taught since childhood that the only way to win and keep a man's heart is by being nice all the time. They were told that pleasing constantly, saying yes to everything, and showing availability in every circumstance would secure love and attention. Yet in practice, the opposite happens. When a woman becomes too predictable, her energy loses its spark, her presence no longer creates curiosity, and the mystery that fuels attraction simply fades away. The hidden charm lies exactly in not always being the nice girl. It is in contrast, in surprise, in the unexpected that magnetism is born. Carl Jung reminds us that what is repressed often returns with even greater force. When a woman represses her boldness, her ability to say no, her right to disagree, she suffocates essential parts of herself. And it is the integration of these aspects that makes her personality truly irresistible. Being the nice girl is a social role, but not an authentic identity. Men sense this unconsciously. They can feel when they are in front of someone who fakes kindness to be accepted instead of acting from genuine self-worth. The secret of being bad with elegance does not mean being rude, cold, or disrespectful. It means allowing yourself to break expectations in subtle ways, showing that you have limits, personal desires, and that you do not live solely to please. When you say no at the right moments, when you choose not to be available all the time, you create in him a sense of value. What is not always within reach becomes precious. The man begins to realize he must put in more effort to stay close to you. This posture is not born from arrogance, but from awareness. Awareness that your energy is special and should never be given away cheaply. Think of a rare jewel. The harder it is to find, the greater its value. In the same way, relationships respond to this dynamic. A woman who demonstrates that she will not automatically accept everything sends a powerful signal of self-respect. That self-respect awakens, in the male unconscious, a deep recognition that he must honor her presence. Excessive niceness often disguises weakness. When you get used to giving in to avoid conflict, you build a pattern where your voice is silenced. Over time, the man does not even notice your concessions anymore. What once was an act of generosity becomes background noise. And instead of gratitude, what grows is a quiet sense of entitlement. He expects you to bend, to adapt, to accept. Without realizing it, you have trained him to ignore your needs. But when you step out of this cycle and begin to reclaim your strength, the story changes completely. Each no becomes a reminder that you are not afraid to lose him. Each boundary you place becomes a mirror in which he sees his own responsibility. And this creates tension, not the destructive kind, but the magnetic one that keeps desire alive. Jung emphasized that the human psyche is drawn to what is not fully understood, to what resists easy definition. By not always being nice, you embody that very mystery. Being bad with elegance is about balance. It is not about rejecting kindness, but about giving it with awareness. It is about knowing that your warmth has more power when it is not guaranteed. When a man feels that your smile, your time, your body, and your attention are choices you make, not obligations you fulfill, he becomes addicted to the unpredictability of your presence. He cannot predict you. He cannot take you for granted. And that unpredictability is intoxicating. At a deeper level, this way of being calls him to grow. When you refuse to be the ever-pleasing nice girl, you invite him into a more conscious relationship. You show him that love is not about comfort alone, but about awakening, challenge, and depth. You become not only a woman he desires, but also a mirror that reflects his own capacity to evolve. And that is why he will chase you, not because you manipulate him, but because in your refusal to be reduced to nice, you reveal the fullness of who you are. And there is nothing more magnetic than that. Why distance creates irresistible desire. One of the strongest paradoxes in human psychology is that we long for what we cannot fully possess. The more accessible something is, the faster the mind devalues it. The more distant and scarce it appears, the more our imagination fills the gap with longing and obsession. This paradox is not just a cliché, it is a truth that has shaped love stories, myths, and human behavior across centuries. And when a woman understands how to use distance with elegance, she awakens an irresistible force of desire. Carl Jung explained that our unconscious seeks wholeness through projection. When a man feels a woman slipping slightly away, when her presence is no longer guaranteed, his unconscious begins to project even more onto her absence. He starts to feel not only what she gave him, but also everything he imagines she could give. Distance transforms her into both reality and dream. That duality is what makes him restless, what makes him chase. But distance here is not about playing childish games or creating artificial drama. It is about reclaiming your space and refusing to be consumed entirely by another person's needs. When you step back, you create a sacred field where he realizes that your energy cannot be owned. It must be honored. The man who once took your presence for granted begins to feel a silent panic. What if she is no longer mine? What if she slips away? That fear ignites desire stronger than any constant availability ever could. Think of fire. It needs oxygen to grow. If you smother it with too much fuel, it suffocates. Desire works the same way. When you are always near, always giving, always responding immediately, you remove the oxygen. The fire of his longing weakens. But when you step back, with grace, not anger, you give him the space to feel the hunger again. He remembers the spark, the chase, the magnetism of pursuing what he cannot predict. This kind of distance is elegant because it does not come from cruelty or punishment. It comes from dignity. It is the quiet decision to protect your time, your energy, and your inner world. When you show that you have a life beyond him, your passions, your rhythm, your silence, he realizes he must meet you there. He cannot drag you entirely into his orbit. He must step into yours. And that shift changes everything. Jung observed that opposites attract because they reveal the hidden parts of ourselves. In relationships, distance and closeness are those opposites. Too much closeness suffocates, too much distance destroys. But when a woman balances the two, she becomes both comfort and mystery. She becomes a living symbol of desire. The closeness he craves, and the distance that keeps him awake at night. Notice that every unforgettable relationship carries this tension. Lovers who are fused together, who never separate, often lose the spark. They become one blur, and attraction dissolves. But when a woman is unafraid to step back, when she honors her solitude and does not explain every moment of absence, she sharpens his longing. He starts to listen for her voice, to imagine her thoughts, to miss her scent. Distance activates his unconscious imagination, and imagination fuels addiction. And here lies another secret. Distance is not just about physical space. It can also be emotional. It can be the refusal to share everything immediately, the decision to keep certain thoughts as your own, the ability to smile without always explaining the reason. These small acts create a veil of mystery that no man can resist. The less he knows, the more he wants to know. The less he has, the more he feels he needs. To be bad with elegance is to understand this dance deeply. You do not vanish to punish, nor do you cling to control. You simply allow desire to breathe. You let him feel the lack of you, so that when you are present, your presence is multiplied in value. The hunger makes the feast unforgettable. A man who chases a woman is not simply chasing her body. He is chasing the mystery she awakens inside him. He is chasing the unresolved tension that only she can soothe, yet never fully. By honoring distance, you give him something far more intoxicating than constant availability. You give him the eternal chase. And in that chase, he becomes addicted, not to pain, not to drama, but to the living pulse of desire that only grows when you are brave enough to step back. If you want to understand the secret patterns of attraction, the Jung Method can guide you. The link is in the first comment. The psychology of mystery and the unconscious pull. Why is mystery so intoxicating? Why do people, especially men, find themselves obsessed with what they cannot fully understand? The answer lies in the very structure of the human psyche. Carl Jung taught that much of what drives us is hidden in the unconscious. We are not only attracted to what we see, but even more to what we cannot see, the unknown parts that promise discovery. When a woman embodies mystery with elegance, she becomes a living symbol of this unknown, and that is why men feel pulled toward her, almost against their will. Mystery is powerful because it awakens projection. A man projects his fantasies, his unspoken needs, his hidden desires onto the woman who does not reveal herself entirely. Her silence, her subtle smile, her unpredictability, all of these leave space for his imagination to work. And imagination is far more addictive than certainty. Once everything is explained, once every detail is revealed, the mind relaxes and desire cools. But when there are unanswered questions, when there is depth that cannot be fully grasped, the mind circles endlessly, unable to let go. Being bad with elegance means daring to withhold just enough to keep the imagination alive. It does not mean lying or pretending. It means not offering every part of yourself at once. It means allowing silence to speak, allowing absence to create tension, and letting your mystery become a mirror of his unconscious. Jung observed that people are fascinated by symbols because symbols point to something infinite, something greater than what is visible. In the same way, when you embody mystery, you become more than just a woman. You become a symbol of his deeper longing. This is why men can become addicted to women who carry this aura. They are not addicted to her physical presence alone, but to the way she awakens their inner world. Her unpredictability challenges them. Her refusal to be completely known keeps their curiosity alive. Every moment with her feels like a piece of a puzzle, but the puzzle never ends. And in that endless search lies the hook of desire. It is important to understand that mystery is not about manipulation. Some confuse it with games or emotional withholding. But true mystery is authentic. It comes from a woman's depth, from her ability to hold her inner world sacred. She doesn't overshare because she knows not everything needs to be spoken. She doesn't rush to explain herself because her silence has weight. She doesn't reveal every thought because some parts of her are meant to be lived, not displayed. This authenticity creates an aura of elegance that no act of manipulation could replicate. Think about how the unconscious works. What is hidden becomes more powerful than what is visible. When something is kept in the shadows, it carries a charge that fascinates. A man feels that charge when he senses there is more within you than he can reach. It keeps him awake at night, wondering what you are thinking, what you are feeling, what you are not saying. That gap between what he knows and what he longs to know is where desire grows strongest. Women who rush to reveal everything often kill this magnetic field without realizing it. They think that by explaining every detail, by opening every door, they are building intimacy. But intimacy is not built on overexposure. It is built on rhythm, on timing, on knowing when to reveal and when to conceal. Mystery feeds intimacy because it keeps the bond alive, never allowing it to become static. Being bad with elegance is about protecting your depth. It is about honoring the fact that you are not fully knowable, even to yourself. When a man senses that truth, he feels both drawn and humbled. He realizes that you are not an open book he can skim through and discard. You are a living novel, with endless chapters, and each page he reads only makes him crave more. Jung often spoke of the anima, the feminine image within a man's psyche that guides his longing. The anima is mysterious, elusive, never fully reachable. When a woman carries herself with mystery, she awakens this archetype in him. He feels compelled to follow, to discover, to chase, even if he cannot explain why. The unconscious pull is stronger than logic. And this is the essence of addiction in love. A man does not become addicted to what is obvious, he becomes addicted to what keeps him searching. He becomes addicted to the mystery that whispers there is always more to uncover. And when you embody that with elegance, not with games, but with genuine depth, you awaken in him a desire that no other can replace. When saying no makes him want you more. There is a hidden strength in the word no. For many, women saying no feels uncomfortable, even dangerous. They fear rejection, abandonment, or being labeled as difficult. So they say yes to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, to prove love. But in doing so, they give away their power. The paradox is that in relationships, the right kind of no can ignite far more desire than 1,000 easy yeses. A man who hears no at the right time begins to value a woman in ways he never did before. Carl Jung taught that boundaries are not walls, but expressions of the self. When you deny yourself the right to say no, you repress essential parts of your individuality. You become a reflection of the other's will, rather than a full person with desires and limits. And over time, this repression leads to resentment inside you and boredom inside him. A man unconsciously feels when a woman no longer carries her own center. Without resistance, he drifts into entitlement, and entitlement kills desire. But when a woman dares to say no, with elegance, without anger, she becomes magnetic. Her no signals that she's not afraid to lose him, that her value does not depend on his approval. It shakes him awake from complacency. Suddenly he realizes she cannot be controlled, cannot be reduced to an accessory. Her refusal creates a crack in his certainty, and through that crack, desire flows again. Think of the psychology of scarcity. Humans value what is rare and resist what is abundant. If every request is granted, if every demand is met, he begins to expect it as natural. But when you withhold, when you choose not to comply every time, you create scarcity. And scarcity breeds desire. The moment he feels he cannot always get what he wants from you, he starts to chase. Not because you are cruel, but because you have reminded him that you are not a possession, you are a person. This is where elegance matters. A destructive no comes with bitterness or coldness designed to wound. But an elegant no is calm, firm, rooted in self-respect. It does not punish, it clarifies. It tells him, I honor myself first. That clarity unsettles him in the best way. It forces him to reconsider how he treats you. It stirs his unconscious need to earn your yes, to fight for your presence, to prove that he deserves you. Jung observed that we are drawn to those who mirror back the parts of ourselves we repress. A man who struggles with self-discipline, who always takes the easy road, finds himself strangely attracted to the woman who can say no. Her refusal embodies the strength he lacks. In his unconscious, her boundary becomes not rejection, but fascination. He wants to conquer what resists. He wants to win where he cannot assume victory. And so her no transforms into a spark that fuels his pursuit. It is important to understand that saying no is not about control. It is not about testing him or playing games. It is about alignment with yourself. When you decline something that does not feel right, you protect your energy. You protect the rhythm of the relationship. You protect the dignity that keeps desire alive. The man may not realize it immediately, but unconsciously, he respects it. Even if he argues, even if he resists, deep down he knows. A woman who can say no is a woman he cannot take for granted. Every great love story is full of tension, and no is part of that tension. Without it, everything dissolves into sameness. Imagine a dance where one partner always steps back, never resists, never leads. The dance becomes flat, uninspired. But when there is resistance, when one pushes while the other pulls, the dance comes alive. Attraction is the same. Saying no is not about rejection, but about rhythm. It keeps the dance moving, the tension alive, the fire burning. The truth is simple. A yes has value only when a no is possible. If you cannot say no, your yes is empty. But when you choose, when you decide what deserves your energy and what does not, your yes becomes sacred. He will crave it, he will chase it, he will work for it. And the more he works, the more addicted he becomes to winning your approval. Being bad with elegance means knowing the weight of your no. It means understanding that refusal is not weakness, but power. It means carrying yourself with the quiet strength of someone who cannot be bent at will. And in that strength lies the magnetism that draws a man closer. Not because you begged, not because you gave everything, but because you dared to withhold. You dared to remind him that you are not his world. You are a universe of your own. And if he wants to be part of it, he must never take it for granted. Confidence is more seductive than perfection. Many women spend years trying to perfect themselves. The perfect body, the perfect outfit, the perfect smile, the perfect response. They believe that if they erase every flaw, if they polish themselves into a flawless image, men will finally see their worth. But perfection does not create addiction. Perfection feels cold, finished, untouchable. What truly seduces a man is not perfection but confidence, the quiet magnetic certainty that you are enough as you are. Carl Jung often reminded us that wholeness is greater than perfection. To be whole is to embrace both the light and the shadow, the beauty and the flaw, the strength and the wound. When a woman carries herself with confidence, she radiates this wholeness. She does not need to hide her imperfections because she knows they do not reduce her value. In fact, they make her more human, more real, and paradoxically more desirable. A confident woman becomes magnetic because she owns herself completely. Confidence whispers, "I do not need your approval to exist." That whisper is louder than any scream for attention. When a man meets a woman who carries herself this way, he feels something stir in him. He cannot easily define it, but he knows he cannot ignore it. Her confidence awakens both admiration and desire. It tells him she will not bend easily, she will not collapse into neediness, and she will not lose herself for his sake. That assurance becomes intoxicating because it places him in the position of having to prove his worth. Perfection, on the other hand, often breeds insecurity. The more you try to appear flawless, the more you fear being exposed. That fear leaks into your presence. It shows in your body language, your tone, your silence. A man may see the polished exterior, but unconsciously, he feels the anxiety behind it, and anxiety repels desire. Desire is drawn to calm, to certainty, to the woman who can laugh at her flaws and still walk with her head high. Being bad with elegance is closely tied to confidence. It is the choice to prioritize self-respect over approval. It is the boldness to say, I am not here to be perfect, I am here to be real. And realness is what keeps a man chasing. Realness means he can never fully predict you because you are not acting from a script. Realness means he must constantly re-earn your presence because you are not desperate to please. Realness means he can never reduce you to an image because you live beyond appearances. Confidence also creates polarity. In Jungian psychology, attraction thrives on polarity, the tension between opposites. When a woman is grounded in her own confidence, she radiates an energy that invites him to rise. Her certainty challenges his uncertainty. Her calm steadiness calls out his restless nature. He feels compelled to approach, to pursue, to match her energy. Without realizing it, he begins to chase, not just her body, but the inner assurance she embodies. Think of how many men remember the women who were unapologetically themselves. Not necessarily the most beautiful, not the most glamorous, but the ones who walked into a room as if they belonged. That presence lingers in memory because it awakens something primal, the recognition of strength. Men are not addicted to flawlessness. They are addicted to the feeling of being near someone who is unshakable. And here is the paradox. The more you try to be perfect, the less attractive you become. Perfection closes doors. Confidence opens them. Perfection says, I cannot fail. Confidence says, even if I fail, I remain valuable. One repels with rigidity, the other attracts with freedom. And freedom is always seductive. Being bad with elegance does not mean rejecting femininity or softness. In fact, confidence enhances those qualities. A confident woman can be soft without being weak, generous without being used, playful without being dismissed. Her energy says, I choose when, how, and to whom I give myself. That choice is the essence of power. A man feels it instinctively, and once he feels it, he cannot forget it. In the end, what creates addiction is not the flawless mask, but the living soul behind it. A man becomes addicted to the woman who knows who she is, who does not apologize for existing, who can embrace both her beauty and her scars. Confidence is the thread that ties elegance and mystery together. It is the invisible force that turns presence into magnetism. And when a woman learns to embody it, she does not need to chase love. Love, and the man who feels her energy, will chase her. The art of selective attention. Attention is one of the most powerful currencies in any relationship. It is invisible, yet it determines the balance of power between two people. Where you place your attention, you place your energy, and where you place your energy, you give value. Many women, out of habit or fear of loss, pour endless attention into men who have not earned it. They answer quickly, they watch closely, they react to every move. At first it seems loving, but over time, constant attention devalues itself. The more you give without measure, the less it is cherished. Carl Jung wrote that energy follows focus. This means that your attention feeds whatever you direct it toward. If you give it freely, without boundaries, you unconsciously tell the man that your world revolves around him. And when he feels this, he no longer has to chase, because he already has all of you without effort. The addiction of desire does not come from abundance. It comes from rarity. What is rare becomes precious. What is everywhere becomes invisible. Selective attention is the art of choosing carefully where and when you give your energy. It is not about withholding love or being manipulative. It is about understanding that your attention is sacred. When you give it to everything and everyone, you scatter yourself. But when you choose wisely, when you allow a man to feel both the warmth of your focus and the coolness of your absence, you create contrast. That contrast is what keeps him hooked. Think of music. A song is not made only of notes. It is also made of silence. Without pauses, music becomes noise. In the same way, your attention is more powerful when it is not constant. If every moment you are checking on him, affirming him, praising him, you become predictable. But when you shift your gaze, when you place your focus on your own life, on your passions, on your growth, he feels the silence. And in that silence, he wonders, where is her mind now? Who has her energy? That wondering pulls him closer. Selective attention also teaches him responsibility. If he receives your full focus, no matter what he does, he has no incentive to rise, to give, to invest. But when your attention reflects his actions, when you respond more when he shows up and less when he withdraws, he learns that your energy must be earned. It becomes a mirror. He sees that if he wants more of you, he must bring more of himself, and that mirror awakens him. Jung pointed out that relationships thrive when there is reciprocity, not one-sided sacrifice. Selective attention protects that reciprocity. It ensures that you do not bleed yourself dry while he grows complacent. It keeps you in your power, reminding both of you that your energy is not infinite and must be respected. Being bad with elegance, in this context, means not giving away all of your attention automatically. It means knowing when to lean in and when to lean back. It means understanding that sometimes the most seductive act is to focus elsewhere, on your dreams, on your friends, on your own self. That shift unsettles him because he realizes he is not the center of your universe. And paradoxically, that realization makes him fight harder to become part of it. Addiction is born not from what is always available, but from what is unpredictable. A man becomes addicted to a woman's attention when he cannot fully predict it, when he knows she is not glued to him, when he feels she can withdraw at any time. He starts to crave every glance, every smile, every moment she chooses to give, because he knows it is a choice, not a duty. Selective attention also preserves your self-worth. By not wasting energy on men who do not honor you, you strengthen your own boundaries. You stop feeding what drains you and start feeding what sustains you. This is not only attractive to men, but liberating to yourself. You begin to live from abundance, not from need. And that abundance radiates in your presence, making you magnetic. In the end, the art of selective attention is simple. Give when it feels right, withhold when it feels forced. Let your energy reflect your truth, not your fear. A man who experiences this rhythm will never feel entitled to you. Instead, he will feel addicted to the unpredictable gift of your presence. And in that addiction, he will chase you, not because you demanded it, but because you mastered the art of making your attention priceless. Why absence makes the bond stronger. There is a reason ancient wisdom and modern psychology both agree on one truth. Absence has power. People fear it, resist it, and try to avoid it. But absence is the force that transforms ordinary attraction into longing. When a man does not see you, when he does not hear from you, when your presence is suddenly removed from his daily rhythm, something awakens in him. The mind fills the gap, the heart aches, the body remembers, and desire is amplified. Carl Jung often spoke of the shadow, the unseen parts of the psyche that reveal themselves in subtle ways. Absence works in the same way. It awakens the shadow of love. When you are always present, the unconscious never has the chance to project, to imagine, to hunger. But when you step away, you stir what is hidden. You give space for his inner world to build stories, images, fantasies. This is why absence strengthens the bond. It allows him to experience you in his imagination as well as in reality. Being bad with elegance means daring to use absence wisely, not vanishing out of cruelty, not disappearing to punish, but stepping back to remind him that you are not guaranteed. Absence says, "I am my own. I do not exist solely for you." This message can be unsettling at first, but it is also magnetic. A man who once took you for granted begins to miss you. He notices the silence where your voice used to be. He feels the emptiness where your energy once surrounded him. And the more he feels it, the more he craves to close the gap. Absence is not weakness, it is strategy. Think of hunger. Food tastes sweetest when the appetite has been allowed to grow. In the same way, your presence becomes more delicious after absence. If you are always there, the appetite dulls. But when you step away, even briefly, you sharpen his senses. You remind him of the value of your presence by letting him taste your absence. This is not manipulation. It is nature. Human beings are wired to pursue what they fear to lose. By withdrawing sometimes, you awaken that natural instinct. He feels the possibility of loss, and it jolts him into action. He texts, he calls, he plans, he chases. Not because you demanded it, but because absence reawakened his desire. Jung also emphasized that true connection requires individuality. If two people are fused together constantly, they lose themselves and eventually lose the attraction. Absence allows individuality to breathe. It gives both of you the chance to remember who you are outside the relationship. And when you return, you bring fresh energy, new experiences, a stronger sense of self. That freshness deepens the bond. He is not addicted to routine, he is addicted to renewal. And absence is what makes renewal possible. There is also a spiritual element to absence. When you step back, you allow the other person to confront their own emptiness. In your silence, he faces his insecurities, his fears, his longings. He realizes how much he relied on your presence for comfort. That realization makes him value you more deeply. Absence becomes a mirror of his dependence, and in that mirror, he sees how vital you are to him. But absence must be balanced with elegance. Too much distance can destroy, just as too much closeness can suffocate. The art is in knowing when to step away and when to return. It is in creating a rhythm that keeps desire alive without breaking the bond. When you master this rhythm, you become unforgettable. He will not only remember you, he will crave you, because he knows that your presence is never endless, always a choice. Men become addicted not to what they already possess fully, but to what they fear losing. Absence keeps that fear alive in a healthy way. It reminds them that love is not ownership, that attention is not infinite, that presence is not guaranteed, and so every time you return after absence, your value multiplies. To be bad with elegance, then, is to honor absence as much as presence. It is to understand that love is a dance of appearing and disappearing, of closeness and distance. It is to let him feel your absence deeply enough that when you return, he is grateful, devoted, and ready to chase again. In the end, absence does not weaken love. It purifies it. It separates the superficial from the essential. And when a man realizes that even in your absence, he cannot forget you, cannot escape the pull of your memory, he knows the truth. He is addicted, not to an illusion, but to the bond that absence itself has made unbreakable. How elegance turns power into addiction. Power by itself can be intimidating. A woman who is strong, independent, and unwilling to bend may impress a man, but she might also scare him away if her energy feels harsh. What transforms raw power into irresistible magnetism is elegance. Elegance softens strength without weakening it. Elegance communicates boundaries without hostility. Elegance shows that you are in control of yourself, but you carry that control with grace. And when a man experiences this blend of power and elegance, he does not simply admire you, he becomes addicted to you. Carl Jung often spoke of the anima, the inner feminine image within a man's psyche. This inner figure is not only beautiful, but also mysterious, nurturing, and wise. When you embody elegance, you awaken this archetype in him. You are no longer just a woman in his life. You become the symbol of something deeper, something that speaks directly to his unconscious. He feels pulled toward you, not only because of desire, but because of a sense of meaning he cannot put into words. Elegance has a way of making boundaries. Magnetic. When you say no with elegance, it does not come across as rejection, but as dignity. When you create distance with elegance, it does not feel like punishment, but like mystery. When you withhold attention with elegance, it does not feel like cruelty, but like value. Elegance turns every act of self-respect into a form of attraction. It is the wrapping that makes power irresistible. This is why men become addicted to women who carry themselves this way. They are not addicted to drama or cruelty. They are addicted to the way elegance makes power enchanting. Without elegance, power can feel heavy. With elegance, power feels light, effortless, almost magical. He chases not just the woman, but the experience she creates. The experience of being in the presence of someone who knows her worth, yet does not need to prove it loudly. Elegance also creates contrast. In a world where many rush, demand, or overshare, an elegant woman moves differently. She slows down. She chooses her words carefully. She does not flood the space with noise, but lets silence speak for her. She does not reveal everything at once, but offers just enough to spark curiosity. That contrast stands out sharply. It unsettles a man because it challenges his expectations. He thought he knew how women behave, but with her the rules no longer apply, and so he cannot help but chase. Being bad with elegance is about understanding that addiction is not created by chaos, but by refinement. You do not need to shout, control, or dominate. You only need to embody the quiet authority of someone who knows she cannot be replaced. Elegance whispers, "You may want me, but you will never own me." And that whisper echoes in his unconscious long after you leave the room. Jung emphasized that true transformation happens when opposites are integrated. Elegance is the integration of opposites: strength and softness, distance and closeness, mystery and clarity. When a man encounters this integration in a woman, he feels a sense of wholeness. She becomes not just a partner, but a mirror of his own potential. That is why the chase never ends. He is not only running after her body, but also after the parts of himself she awakens. Addiction is not born from excess, but from balance. A woman who gives too much suffocates. A woman who withholds too much repels. But a woman who moves with elegance creates rhythm. She gives and takes away. She reveals and conceals. She softens and strengthens. That rhythm keeps him alive, restless, hungry. It is the dance of power turned into art. In the end, what keeps a man addicted is not the fear of punishment, but the promise of wonder. Elegance turns ordinary moments into experiences. A glance becomes a message. A pause becomes a story. A refusal becomes a challenge. And he chases because he wants more of that experience. He becomes addicted not only to the woman, but to the way she makes him feel, alive, alert, uncertain, yet completely drawn in. This is the secret. Power alone commands respect, but power with elegance commands devotion. And when you master this union, You do not need to chase love. Love and the man who feels your energy will chase you endlessly, because elegance has turned your strength into something he cannot resist, something he cannot forget, something he will always come back. For dediction wrapped in grace.